It's that time again for more yachting adventures in the Wizard shop. I've never had a boat that I could stand under, but it's pretty cool. We found some really interesting things. We got a lot of things to go over today, and I found something that could have sunk this boat. Let's get started. Mrs. Wizard has made quite a bit of headway. She's done a lot of painting and a lot of things she's going to show you in the interior. But I'm going to show you some updates that I've done on the outdrive and some crazy things that I've found. Let's head on to the back of the boat. So I've got these gimbals off. I guess you would call this the gimbal housing or whatever you want to call it. I've got those painted up. The pitting is so bad on these, but I went ahead and painted them anyway, so at least I've got something coating them to just bare metal. It turned out okay. But I've got all the bellows and everything and the hoses out. We're going to look at that on the table here in a little bit. But I wanted to show you, I've got the gimbal seal and the gimbal bearing, you can see here with my flashlight, all replaced. Nice and new. The drive coupling that's inside of there, both of them are in good shape. The splines are really good. The rubber's in good shape. So I'm going to leave those alone. But what I found inside once I got the little housings out was very scary. So as you can see on the hydraulic lines that go to these cylinders, they're pretty bad. The metal is actually coming apart. I can pull it apart with my hand. I am not going to try to just hope that those work. So I went online. And I got a complete set for both sides. Good used ones that are in very good shape. These came off of a motor that was in good shape. The boat had been wrecked, and this guy was like, I have these that are in great shape. I think they do great for you. And they will. Definitely a lot better than what's on there. So that'll take care of my hydraulic line issues. So when I go back together with these gimbals, I've got a kit that has all the brand new bellows and clips, hose clamps, raw water hoses, O-rings and seals, and a gasket. I've got two of these sets and they're really nice. So when I go back together, I'll have everything there. But let's move over to the table. I want to show you guys what I found. Okay, so I've got the box of all the old bellows and parts and things out of the gimbal housings. And I'm going to go through each and every part and show you some of the things I found. But one thing that I've learned, I'm still learning about these whole boat things. I'm not a boat wizard, but I have enough mechanical experience that I can work on one. I never realized within the outdrives and the gimbal area that so much time and money could be spent in an area this big. I always thought maybe there's a drive shaft, some gearbox, whatever, but there's so many things inside of there. And there's things in there that if they go wrong can sink the boat. And I'm surprised that this one didn't sink. Let's go ahead and go through these. So here's one of the gimbal bearings. It's for the drive shaft that goes to the gearbox or the outdrive. Listen to that. I can wiggle the whole thing. It's shot. It was actually very tough to get out. I had a puller with a 3-jaw puller that reached inside and I was able to pull it out, but man was it tough. But yeah, this thing is, the other side wasn't so bad, but this one was shot. And I know why now. Now on the port side of the engine, when I took it apart, I saw why probably there was water in the hull of the boat, down in the bilge. Right here. This shaft boot, wiggle at you and say hi, yep, was cracked. There's several cracks in this one. These are fully submerged in the water all the time. So you're sitting there floating in the lake and water, it's pouring in. I'm imagining that his bilge pumps probably kept him from sinking, or otherwise this whole thing would have been ruined. But that explains why the prop shaft, the U-joint, was brown on one side and clean on the other. Lake water was getting in. That's also what took out the gimbal bearing. The raw water hose on that side, I don't even know how it was still working. It's horrible. Very, very bad. Here's the seal on this side that went behind the gimbal bearing. The rubber's not even there anymore. I don't even know where it went. The seal I put on has nice new rubber. Everything's brand new now, but it's just like, wow. So that tells me in the last 20 years, it has probably received 0 maintenance. 0. That's too bad. One of the exhaust bellows wasn't even hooked up to the outdrive, which I guess really doesn't hurt anything, but it's so stiff and brittle. I bet I could just break it in half. This was the starboard side prop shaft billows, and there were some areas where it's starting to crack, but luckily it hadn't cracked yet. You can look inside of this one and it's black still because no lake water had gotten in. When we look at the port side bellows, it's rusty, nasty lake water inside of there from the hole that I just showed you. There's actually 3 or 4 cracks like that in this thing. That could have sunk this boat. If it was left unattended and the bilge pumps weren't working, that could have sunk this boat. This one little bellows has probably cost $5 or $10 or $15. I don't know what it costs for just one bellows, but this one little tube can sink the entire boat, all of it. If your bilge pumps weren't working or the batteries were dead and it's not pumping any water and this sits there and leaks and leaks and leaks and your boat just slowly sinks, you'll come to the marina to get onto your boat and it'll be at the bottom of the lake, all because of this. These things are very, very important. It's something I've learned. These are not something to play around with. I noticed whenever I was moving the outdrives up and down with the hydraulic system that the trim gauges weren't doing anything up at the helm, and I found out why. The sensors, the wiring was just all shorted and broken. Some of the wiring was just laying in there. You know what that tells me when I see this? When I see this type of stuff, it tells me I don't give a you-know-what. I just don't care. That's what this says. I don't want to fix it. I'm not going to fix it. I don't care. And it really kind of upsets me. There's the shift cable boot, or bellow. It's actually in decent shape. Same for the other side. And here was the exhaust bellow for the other side, and again it's decent, but it's pretty stiff. And here we have the gimbal bearing. The seal was out on it, but the bearing was still good. It's quiet. It still could have been used, but I went ahead and replaced it anyway because I've got everything all apart. So I'm glad that I caught all these things. I was kind of debating whether to tear that all apart, and I'm glad that I did. I found a lot of bad things. I've got a lot more work to do and a lot more time to spend on the outdrives and the gimbal housing area. Again, that really surprises me that so much time could be spent in an area this big. But it can. We're going to get it done right. We're going to put everything back together where we can enjoy this boat without breakdowns. Let's go check out what Mrs. Wizard's got done.
Okay guys, welcome back to my domain again. I thought I was going to get done painting a lot sooner than I did, but it takes a lot of work. And what's funny is that, you know, the Wizard just a second ago was saying how they haven't done any maintenance in the engines and the gimbals, any of that. What's ironic is I found like 2 different paint colors in here. So they had their priority in the wrong spot. I've seen a white paint that they've done underneath, and then there was this kind of an ivory paint as well. We're going with gray, and I've got a lot of it done already, but I got all the trim work in. A lot of it that I could just do with a brush, but I do need to go through the roller, and that's my goal for the day. So it's just been interesting. I've seen a lot of more cases of what I call lazy-itis, where they didn't paint. For example, you can see where they put some of the paint up here on the top. They didn't trim in, and the trim was so easy. I have some favorite tools. One of these angle brushes with the rubbery head, these things are fabulous. Fits nicely, bends in your hand. You've got so much control. I've loved these for years now. This is my favorite paintbrush. The other thing I have is just a simple 4-inch trowel you use for drywall. And all I had to do was lift up and I could paint. And then move to the next section and paint. and paint, and I got no gray paint on the ceiling. But you're probably thinking, but Mrs. Wizard, you got paint all over your trowel. You want a secret? This is a secret my dad taught me, and he's a professional carpenter. You get your drill with your sander pad on it. You can do any sander, but this is what I got. And literally, you just sand, like take a minute away, and see, it is slowly getting there. So I'm not going to take all the time, but this works great. It cleans it off. It's now actually quite smooth, even like it is now, and I only did it for 2 seconds. So that's one of those great secrets. I did also, this was quite frustrating yesterday, I did get all the teak handles put on. I did put a teak oil on them, so now they look nice and shiny and they've been cared for, but a lot of the handles up here, they were stripped out. Just as I predicted in that first video, they were stripped out, and I had to find different screws, and I had to go raid the Wizard screw collection, but I did get a lot of them done. And if you look over here at the kitchen area, the cabinets are now gray, and it now has the nice teak handles on them. I still want to go through, I still want to paint the bottoms at least. Some of you guys are talking about not painting all of it, but I think I'm going to do the bottom, because I saw a couple of the bottoms. It's just a kind of a rough wood. I'm going to go ahead and paint at least the bottom. Maybe not the sides, but definitely I'm going to get that part done. So my goal for the day, I want to get this finished. I want to get it all painted. It looks kind of rough in here, and that was just because I had paint left over in my paintbrush, and I was just kind of wiping it just to get some paint on there. Didn't want to waste it, and I didn't want to spend forever cleaning my paintbrush either. But that's the goal. I've got more updates for you guys coming, but I just haven't got there. I've got to get this painting done before I can get to the next step. So hopefully next time we talk, I'm going to have lighting. Okay, so lighting is hopefully my next goal after this. So let's go wrap it up with the Wizard.
So Mrs. Wizard's made quite a bit of headway. It's coming along really nicely in the interior. But between what I've done mechanically and what she's done in the interior, we have both found that a common theme that I see a lot with even car purchases is they're more concerned about the appearance of the car. They get a full detail job. They repaint the car, put expensive wheels on, and completely sideline any kind of maintenance. The priorities are wrong there. So, and this is the result of it. One of the things I'm going to be doing as I put the out drives back on and the gimbals back together, everything back together, is a project I'm going to show you guys. Being I've been a mechanic for a long time, I'm starting to see some inherent flaws with the out drives. Having the impeller for the raw water pump inside the out drive, I don't like that. I'm going to be using the water pump housing and leaving it in place without the impeller. I'm going to still pull water through the out drive to keep it cool. But I'm going to put electric pumps inside the bilge. You guys will get to see that as a project in the future that will have the pump inside the bilge, not inside the out drive. So if we're cruising along and an impeller goes out, I don't have to do a haul out and pull the boat completely out of the water. I can just close the C valve that it doesn't let water in, take the pump apart, put a new impeller back in, and we're back in business. I will still maintain the drives, the oil level, and everything like that. I'm not going to just ignore the out drives, but I'm not going to have to worry about impellers all the time. I'm always worried, oh, I hope the impeller doesn't go. I hope the impeller doesn't go. I don't like that, and I don't want to mess with that. So that'll be a project you guys will see. That'll be a modification I'm going to do to the boat. I've got a lot of tools back there working on the out drive. I'm so thankful. If I didn't have them, I wouldn't be able to work on a lot of the stuff I'm doing. If you want to check the kind of tools I use, check my Amazon affiliates link in the description below. I get a small cut. I'm really thankful for that. And make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. A lot of you are keeping up with the yacht progress, and if you want to automatically know when another video is out, hit the subscribe button. I really recommend that. And thanks for watching.